739 miles an hour. That was the record all the way back years and years ago of how fast somebody was on land in a car. And just in the last few years, a man was able to go 24 miles up in the air and jump out and safely land back on the earth, breaking the speed of sound.
I wish to see what I can see. Sometimes you have to get up really high. The smaller you are. I'm going home now.
And also, what about how fast can you go to maybe go back in time? Now, if you ask your parents, and maybe some of you might be aware that 88 miles an hour, if you went 88 miles an hour in a certain car, you might be able to go back in time.
Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour,
maybe it involves a groundhog. Maybe it involves a phone booth. Maybe it involves a car going 88 miles an hour. Maybe it involves some certain superheroes or a certain young man who wears some dark rimmed glasses. But the reason that you want to go back in time, the reason that you want to do that is because you want to change some things that have happened. Some choices have been made, some things have been done, and because this happened, now this happened, which made this happen. And so if we go back in time, we can change this, that might have changed that, and everything would be different. Now, if you know of where there's a time machine, if I can borrow one, if I can rent one, if cousin Ray can use it, hey, wherever we can get one, I would love to use one because I would love the opportunity to go back in time and to be able to make some changes to so many different things in life. But unfortunately, again, if you know somebody, let me know. I don't know of any time machines around. So what should we do if we're in a place where we've made some choices and some things have happened that we maybe wish that we could have changed them? As much as I would love to be able to change some of the choices in my life and maybe go back in time, whether it's in a fast car or a phone booth like what we talked about, we all make choices. And what do we do with those choices and how do we handle them? As we talk about choices and things that go on in our life, as much as I want to go back in time and change them, we really can't we? And we have to realize that the choices we make are things that we make, and ultimately things that we do, they all have consequences. But what are we doing? What are we listening to? Who are we listening to? Where are we going to help us to decide that, hey, those are the choices to make? That's the thing for us to do. Well, I want to talk to you about a time in the Bible and about someone in the Bible who was a prophet. Now, what is a prophet? A prophet is someone who was chosen by God to give a message to the people. To give a message to the people that, hey, this is what you're doing, and this is what you're doing is right. Or this is what you're doing that you shouldn't do, and you need to change this and you need to do that. See, it was someone who would get a message from God. Now, it's a little bit different now. You might not get a DM or a tweet or an instant message or anything like that, but they were the ones who were responsible for giving that message. They were the ones to help people realize that the choices that they were making, that they maybe need to change those choices. They need to change how they're doing things. Because like we talked about, we can make these choices, but we can't go back in time and fix them. So let's learn about how we can do what is right and make the right choices even when everybody else is doing what is wrong. Now, someone in the Bible who really had to make a decision of, are they going to do the right thing even when others around them were not, was a prophet by the name of Micah. And Micah is found in the Old Testament. And I want to read to you from Micah, and I'm going to be going into Micah chapter 3. Micah chapter 3, and in parts of that, here's what's going on. There were people back in that time who were choosing to do the wrong thing. They were misleading people. They were telling people, yeah, you should do this and you should do that and you should do that, when really they shouldn't have been misleading them. And see, Micah, he knew that, well, you shouldn't be doing that. And so he mentioned it. He said that to people. And unfortunately, when you point that out to people, you're not as friendly. You might lose some subscribers on YouTube, and you might lose some followers and everything else on your social media feed. But Micah knew that he heard from God. And Micah knew that what was happening was not right. So let's go into Micah and let's look at Micah chapter 3. See, he denounced. Denounce is a big word of saying, hey, yeah, you know all that stuff you're saying and why you're saying it while they're doing it? You know, that's not good. And here's why. Because, see, they were responsible for teaching people right from wrong, but they were teaching them wrong and saying that it was right. Wow. See, they were taking advantage of people. And then when you take advantage of people and you don't have any compassion or respect for others, then that's really not the good thing to do, because it led to so many bad things. But here's what's so awesome. Here's what I want you to understand about what Micah did, is that he remained true to his calling and proclaimed God's word. And even though other people might not like what he was doing, maybe they might not follow him anymore or subscribe to what he's a part of, Micah was able to do the right thing, even though he looked around and everybody else wasn't. Now, do we do the same thing? Do I do the same thing? When I see something going on that's wrong or should be handled different, do I speak up? Do I say something about that? Hey, I know it's not that easy. And I know that it's difficult and it's hard. But that's where we need to understand that all of us, yeah, even all our leaders, myself, everybody, that we need to make sure that we take a stand, that we can learn from Micah, and that we can learn that, hey, you know what? We need to be on God's side. We need to be following what his word says. Listen to this as it goes on. How it says how he, in verse 8, on the other hand, I am filled with power, with the Spirit of the Lord, with justice and courage. Wow, I wonder when we think about when we should do the right thing, that, okay, are we gonna do the right thing? Are we gonna make the right choices because of me? Or do we make the right choices because we can say that I am filled with the power of the Spirit of the Lord and with justice and courage? Because I know I can't do it on my own. I know that I might be afraid. I might be nervous. I might not want to say what is really going on. But yet if I can stand firm and say, hey, that it's not me because I know that I'm weak and I might be afraid, but I can stand firm and be just like Micah and say, I am filled with power and with the Spirit of the Lord and with justice and courage. And that's Micah 3, verse 8. And as it goes on, and if you can look in chapter 4, and as it goes on and it says, but they do not know the thoughts of the Lord, and they do not understand his purpose. See, you know, when God reveals the future, when God reveals what can happen and how we need to change, well, are we going to make that change? Are we going to make the right choice on what we can do? Because I don't know, like we've been talking about, if we can go back in time and change anything. But God, who can help us and reveal that to us, you know, that his purpose, his plan, it goes beyond our curiosity. Because see, if we're able to change things now, if we're able to change our behavior now and our choices now, I'm telling you that it will make your future a lot different. It'll make your future a whole different path. But it's up to us and how we choose to make choices. And are we going to stand up for what is right even when we're all alone? For our forever and what happens, it begins now. And we should be motivated to know that it is God in us that can help us. Remember how we talked about how Micah said, hey, on the other hand, I'm filled with power, with the Spirit of the Lord, with justice and courage. And that's what we want to stand on. That's what we want to know, that we can do what is right even when everyone else is doing what is wrong.